Okay.
Yeah.
That's your line?
I don't care if it's stupid.
That's your defense?
I acknowledge that Yawgmoth is very stupid, but it makes sense. You get what I'm saying.
I do get what you're saying.
Barich on a mulligan to 6, though she will be on the play. Baumeister on 7 on the draw. Barich opens up on Once Upon a Time. Once upon a time, there was a free card selection spell.
And it got banned in most formats. No, it is still legal here in Modern, and I wouldn't even say that it's in the top 5 cards to be banned right now. You know, give it a year. People got sick of Once Upon a Time and Pioneer real fast, and I think that if like a ban happens to a couple of other prominent cards in the format, you may have a bit of that fatigue as well going forward in the format. But for now, I want to see it breathe a little bit. I would love to have some mana creature decks just on the top for a little while, you know?
Yeah. Finds Colony Garden, kind of a funky little one for your Yawgmoth. Baumeister opens on Snow-Covered Island. Arkham's Astrolabe, Mishra's Bauble. Turn 2 for Barich is Twilight Mire, Strangleroot-Geist. Twilight Mire, a pretty important land for the deck because it allows you to go with this green-green 2-mana creature into your black-black 3-mana creature.
Yeah, Twilight Mire is quite good. Barich bringing multiple this weekend.
I believe the full 4.
It would make sense, you know, being able to turn a basic force into black or help get triple black for the Gerald's Messenger is really important for the overall combo, you know.
And it is all 4. Baumeister, Snow-Covered Mountain, second Astrolabe, and a pass. Go back over to Barich.
I mean, it is really a green-based deck, right? Almost all the cards are green or double green. Almost all the creatures are green, and then you see triple black Gerald's Messenger, double black Yawgmoth, and then, well, we need a little help. So let's do that with one of these land cycles that doesn't see a lot of play with Twilight Mire, and it looks great.
Strangleroot-Geist attacks again. Baumeister to 16. Verdant Catacombs is the land, and Barich will pass. Baumeister is going to bobble Barich. Go to his turn, draw 2 cards.
Mistress Bobble's one that can go. I'm just going to say cards that I'm fine with going.
Okay. I mean, we're probably going to see a lot of them here, huh?
Mm-hmm. Mystic Sanctuary? That one can go. Arkham's Astrolabe. Every deck has to play snow basics. That one can go.
What if they printed a 2-mana Stone Rain that only had Snowlands? I'd rather have that. I want something that makes Snowlands miserable.
Yeah, so here's my problem with cards like that. People made that type of suggestion as ways that you could contain things like Oko, Thief of Crowns. Just make a 1-mana removal spell that kills Planeswalkers. And my response to that is, no one would play it.
No,
not a single person would play it.
This is a little different, though.
It's not even that much different. Right?
What if it's a 1-mana Stone Rain? I wanted to put them in the ground, all right? A card that just destroys
them. So you
want
to try to land destruction on the Mox Opal deck?
Well, just ban that one.
I might have thrown some spittle at you. I apologize. That was a good one. All right. Oko comes down here for Baumeister.
Shocks a breeding pool to do it. He's at 14. Gonna alkify that Strangleroot-Geist. Baumeister lost to Barich earlier in the Swiss. Had to read some cards. Now knows a little bit more about the matchup. Knows you don't want too many undying creatures on the other side of the table.
Yeah, but while he was able to take care of one of the undying creatures, Barich able to Court of Calling for a Yawgmoth, and now with a bunch of mana and an untapped step, let's see if she has access to Yawgmoth here.
Fetches for Dryad Arbor, Court of Calling's Yawgmoth. This is enough power to take down Oko, and that works. Here is Urborg, and an Eldritch Evolution. Going to sacrifice that Strangleroot-Geist.
Now, importantly, the Strangleroot-Geist doesn't come back because it doesn't have Undying once it becomes an elk. But it still maintains its 2 casting costs. So the Eldritch Evolution goes and gets a 4-drop. Barich's going to go get Yawgmoth, Thran Physician. It's going to use that to, at the very least, just draw a bunch of cards. Now, Barich doesn't have to do anything right this second. Baumeister has to go through a turn cycle. She can wait, and she can just do everything at instant speed. But the shields are currently down. So if she wanted to sack Yawgmoth to draw a card, she can target itself, and then it would disappear. The trigger would disappear. And then she can sack the other 2 creatures to remove the counter and do it again. So she's effectively drawing 5 or 6 cards.
Not bad.
Not bad for the low cost of Dryad Arbor token and Yawgmoth.
That's something that's really likable about this Yawgmoth combo is that once you have Yawgmoth 1 Undying Creature, that's 2/3 of your combo, and it makes it easier to find the last piece.
Right. It's also just really powerful at interacting in a positive way against opposing creature decks. You know, if I'm playing against an opposing Noble Hierarch deck and I draw Thran, or draw a Yawgmoth Thran Physician, just get to dumpster your opponent.
Baumeister is going to fetch to 13, going to find a snow-covered island and cast an Oko. Going to try to elk the Yawgmoth. We're going to see some responses. Barich is going to go to work with that Yawgmoth. Undies, draws a card, uses the plant to reset that, draws a card. Yawgmoth draws a card again. This is going to cost a life every time. I'll update you when she stops on that. Dryad Arbor, going to reset that again, draw another card. One more Undying for the Yawgmoth.
And now, yeah, the elkifying the Yawgmoth happens, but if you count, Barich has like 9 cards in hand.
And this is still just 5 power to answer the Oko, too.
Yeah. You know, Baumeister really needs something like Galvanic Blast there to try to keep his Oko alive, but he didn't even have Metalcraft, so it was a moot point.
So Barich ended up at 14, one for Geralf's Messenger. That one did get tagged by Metallic Rebuke.
It's a fine response, but Baumeister's still on the ropes. Barich has a ton of cards. Baumeister still has a grip full as well. Most of his things cycle.
Yawgmoth deployed after that counter. Now we go back to Corey Baumeister.
And now we're just going to see Barich play like a, you know, normalish beatdown deck with a ragtag group of wolves and elks.
Yawgmoth, kind of a long-time popper staple.
Which is strange because it wasn't really a popper staple in like a, like for any real reason. Like it wasn't like in a sacrifice deck. It was just in like a green beatdown deck.
You put your ranker on that one.
Yeah, that thing don't die. Well, I mean, it dies twice, but it undies. All right.
So we want Astrolabe, Bobble, Mystic Sanctuary, and Urza. So now Baumeister with a lot of land, or mana rather, and a pretty good battlefield presence. Go back over to Aaron Barich.
Notably, it has a bunch of just extra artifacts lying around, and that mana can translate to casting Cryptic Command here as a either potent counterspell that can draw a card, or as a way to prevent an Alpha Strike here from Barich.
Another attempt at a Geralf's Messenger from Barich.
I think one bummer about Geralf's Messenger in general in this deck is that it enters the battlefield tapped, which makes it a little awkward for the likes of Court of Calling. It's not bad. It's obviously great. It's one of the best Undying creatures in the game, and it works so well as kind of a mini combo contained in itself. You don't need the Blood Artist if you have Geralf's Messenger and a higher life total than your opponent. You just need Geralf's Messenger, another Undying creature, and a Yawgmoth. So
Well, it's like the Messenger is getting Cryptic Commanded.
he's trying to choose the other target, or the other mode, which is bounce Mystic Sanctuary.
You saw Barich suggesting bouncing the Yawgmoth elk. Birds of Paradise, tapped Blooming Marsh. Go back to Baumeister. As you mentioned, just picked up that Mystic Sanctuary, so now he could put Cryptic Command on the top of his deck with that land.
Yeah, and then he can also just draw the Cryptic Command via the Mistress Bauble. So this little interaction comes up quite a bit in the deck where you use Cryptic Command as for some mode and bounce Mystic Sanctuary. Then it gets back to your turn and you have kind of a soft lock going, especially if you have Emery Lurker the lock, because you just keep rebuying the Mistress Bauble each time, and kind of creates this little infinite fog effect for your opponent.
You got an Emery, you got a Bauble, you got a Sanctuary, you got a Cryptic Command. You got yourself a stew going.
Oh, man.
And there is the sequence. Sanctuary puts Cryptic on top. Bobble is going to check the top card of Barich's deck.
I lost it when he was in the Mandalorian. He was so good. That was from Arrested Development, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was good. Carl Weathers.
Yes, playing himself.
Oh, yeah. He basically plays himself in the Mandalorian, too. Actually plays like a knockoff Lando Calrissian, but, you know, still a pretty good one.
Fair. All right, so explosives on one cast. Baumeister's going to pass. Upkeep. Wants to draw that Cryptic off the Bobble. Barich responding with Court of Calling. And that's bad news.
It is. This is real bad. So Baumeister does have the engine explosives, though, so he can blow up all the young wolves and the birds of paradise. The Court of Calling is just going to go get another Yawgmoth, but if all the food is gone, the Yawgmoth's not that threatening. He still draws the Cryptic Command for turn.
Kind of a steep cost on the explosives taking down these astrolabes, though, yeah?
Yeah, but it isn't, really. I mean, you lose a bit of mana, but he's got a pretty significant advantage, and I think the easiest way for him to lose here is for Barich to just get Yawgmoth on the battlefield right now. So he's going to float 2 extra mana, and he's going to blow it up. Young Wolf comes back, the other one dies, the bird dies, and Court resolves. And then Bob will resolve and give Baumeister that Cryptic Command, which he can use in a number of different ways. And now, I was going to say, there's a chance I think Barich just didn't even get the Yawgmoth there, because Court's not exactly 4, it's 4 or less. And without a lot of food, the Yawgmoth is not nearly as good.
Yawgmoth is the fine that's going to legend rule away the elk. Now we see Baumeister draw the Cryptic Command. Barich draws for turn. Not exactly in combo position, though. The mana's going to be tapped here.
Yeah, something like a Counting Garden would be kind of cool, though. Just generate a creature. Anything that puts a creature on the battlefield here would be great for Barich, because then she can just start sacking them to draw cards. At the very least, just remove the counter from the Young Wolf, let the Young Wolf sack to kill the Construct token on the other side of the table.
Nurturing Peatland is the land.
I feel like maybe like 1 Eternal Witness would be great in this deck.
Yeah, I can see that.
Is there an Eternal Witness in the deck? Sorry, just...
Not seeing one.
There's a Cavalier Knight. That's like a 5-mana version of Eternal Witness, but...
No, that's the black one. It's like a Necrotal. I guess it can bring back a 3-mana creature.
Yeah.
But it can't bring back Yawgmoth.
Right.
Which is, Eternal Witness is probably part of why you want it, yeah?
Yeah. All right, so here Baumeister going to use his mana. He's going to cast Cryptic Command targeting Yawgmoth to bounce draw during the end step. Now, Barich here can sacrifice the Young Wolf to kill the Construct while there are no other artifacts and to draw a card, notably. Get that Yawgmoth back in hand. She can start to rebuild next turn. But I think she wants to try to keep the Young Wolf on the battlefield so that when the Yawgmoth does get deployed, she's able to put another creature in play. She can remove the counter from the Young Wolf and kind of mini combo. I think she was just weighing the options here between leaving the Young Wolf versus leaving the Construct.
So the Yawgmoth is bounced, and we'll go back to Baumeister. Very small construct, just a little 1/1 right now.
Just a little guy.
Just a little guy.
Just a little guy.
He's not hurting anybody.
I feel bad for Matthias because his token is just... Everyone just hates it. I mean, they don't hate him or the token itself, but they hate playing against it, and it's always there. Every round you play against Urza.
I think that Urza's going to spinning.
Yeah. Activate Temporal Aperture mode. He really does do it all, huh? Mana generation, can generate a clock via the Construct, and when you run out of juice, just start whirling and twirling.
Get you a man who does both.
Does he whirl? Does he twirl? You can have a man that does both. That's one thing about Urza. They needed to make it powerful. I get it. It's an iconic part of the game, that character. But good God.
Yo, Rob, can we get the blind seer on screen?
No, it was was it?
Or is this, no, you're thinking of the Wanderer. All right. Ether Spellbomb spun off the Urza. Baumeister spinning to 12.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to... I mean, maybe he'll find it. It might take him a minute.
Yeah. You won't know it when you see it because the card is so bad.
All right.
There he is. All right. So this is from Invasion. Blue, 2, 3/3. Blue and 1. Target spell or permanent becomes the color of your choice on end of turn, and this is a character who is supposed to be Urza. They don't write him like that anymore.
No, they do other things with the story now.
He's concealing his strength, you see.
Oh, I see.
He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he does.
No, he's blind. Dude.
Yeah, but he does see.
But he sees more than he lets on.
Yeah.
Now, I actually read those invasion books way back in the day. Could not tell you who the blind seer was other than it was Urza. I do not recall him in the story at all.
Probably did nothing spectacular.
Well, that was the whole point.
Yeah.
He was hiding in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he's the head of the legacy weapon. Literally.
Show weakness to hide your strength.
Are you classic Sun Tzu guy now, or?
That's a flavor. that is the flavor text of a magic card, but I don't remember which one.
Yeah.
I think it's some elf thing.
It's also from Sun Tzu. All right. Baumeister finally gets Mystic Sanctuary. He's going to put that Cryptic back on top. It's about a 45-minute fetch land there. Good thing this is untimed. I might have a word with him after this match about wasting people's time.
Yeah, they're not even 16 minutes
It's
in.
fine. I know.
Ooh,
What?
Emery. Gonna draw in response, though.
Okay.
See,
Also,
the Spell Bomb reduces the Emery. You cast it for 1, then you catch in the Spell Bomb.
yeah, see, this would be cool and impressive if the Urza didn't let you tap the Spell Bomb. You know?
All right, now we're done. Barich is gonna draw a card off that peat land.
I hope Barich just combo kills him right now after that. Because now, like, the shields are down. He doesn't really have... He has a Cryptic Command in hand. Nothing else really going on. The Emery is, like, cycling, drawing some cards. But, like, Barich can just win this turn with the right set of things to happen.
Attack with Yawgmoth is where Barich will start.
I don't know what that means. Probably means...
I mean, the block with Urza means Yawgmoth can clean up the Urza without too much trouble.
Yeah, but a double block here means that Barich actually loses the Yawgmoth, and that's a pretty important part of the combo. And if she lets Baumeister untap... I mean, the attack here just means that Barich isn't winning this turn, and that's fine. And she's trying to leverage as much as she can with the Yawgmoth.
So the attack's good. Baumeister's at 10. Yawgmoth making another appearance.
No play. This
Burning
is
Catacombs,
bad news.
Go.
Bad news for Barich.
Baumeister untapping. Still has that Cryptic Command in hand.
I think if Barich had nothing there, maybe just going ahead and sacking the Yawgmoth to kill the Matthias Hunt token, just while the shields are down. You know, it's an extra mana and an extra blocker. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm just going to let it play. Just going to let it go.
Emery is going to bring back the Astrolabe. Baumeister's got a pretty full grip going now. Scalding Tarn. Yeah, medium full, but you know.
Yeah, I don't think it's that good, though. It has a Cryptic Command, looks like a backup Emery, and a fetch land. So both Mystic Sanctuaries on the table. That fetch land in play and the one in hand are relatively useless, just because he's already got a ton of stuff. And now he just needs to get enough mana where he can spin and hold up Cryptic Command, I think, is the plan.
All right, back to Aaron Barich. Last turn was little more than casting Yawgmoth.
Can't block the Yawgmoth with Urza, huh?
Nice.
Protection from humans.
Yawgmoth and the 2/2 Wolf rumbling on in. Construct of 2/2 now. A little bit better at engaging in combat. Still not great.
If I'm not mistaken, the one Dryad Arbor's gone out of the Yawgmoth deck, right? I believe it was gotten and sacked way earlier. So there's no more Dryad Arbor at Barich's disposal off the Verdant Catacombs. I was thinking maybe there was like a surprise -1/-1 that Baumeister might not have caught, but I don't think that's there anymore.
Yeah, I think that when Barich drew those cards, the Arbor was a part of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, looks like Yawgmoth's going to proliferate before damage. Grow that Yawgmoth.
Now, interestingly enough, I'm pretty sure Corey didn't play that much Magic during the Scars of Mirrodin era, so proliferate maybe not on his radar too much, you know. But
And honestly, +1 damage is not that scary.
sure.
When are we going to get the Yawgmoth Infect deck?
As soon as we get more Infect creatures, probably. That might happen. Yawgmoth just doesn't really fit into that deck.
That's too bad.
Yeah. I always thought the Infect deck was way better as black-blue than, or blue-green than it was as black-green.
Well, seems to be the consensus opinion, so you got that one right. But maybe Yawgmoth could turn the tide.
Yeah. Not to get too into the lore behind the game, but I have to imagine that some of the green creatures gaining Infect is just a product of the Phyrexian invasion, things just kind of getting tainted slowly over time. They're not really like Yawgmoth's minions. They're just getting, they're getting infected, and they're passing that infection along, right?
Like a zombie kind of thing.
Right. So, the ability from Yawgmoth, not really, Yawgmoth itself not really fitting into an Infect deck proper makes some amount of sense since they're base green.
Gotcha. And Yawgmoth costs 4, whereas Glistener Elf is more of a fast zombie thing. That's what I'm hearing from you.
A fast zombie thing?
Yeah, 28 days later is fast zombies.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. You get it.
I think Glistener Elf's probably the fast zombie.
Yeah.
That thing crunch. All right, spin here from the Urza, looking for some way to deal with the Yawgmoth. It is fairly problematic here for Corey, but he's accruing a very large battlefield full of useless permanents that tap for mana, which let him spin again and again and again. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why we hate this deck. Just put it in the grave. Wizards of the Coasts, if you're listening, we need your help. You have the power to stop this.
Spin was in another Mox Opal. Legend rule there. Pluto Delta Go. Baumeister leaving up that cryptic command.
Yeah. The card shark token is slightly bigger now. It's 4/4. So it can trade with Yawgmoth. Can threaten to block the Yawgmoth.
Barich going to cash in Peatland. Try to find a way to break through this. Both players know about that cryptic command. To fight through this kind of thing, oftentimes what the Yawgmoth deck wants to do is set up Chord of Calling, do something at instant speed. We're getting to a point, though, Urza generates so much mana.
Not only so much mana, but it is able to use that mana. I talked a bit last round about how Leyline of Abundance was a significant part of the Pioneer Mono Green Devotion deck, not just as a mana generator, but also as a mana dump, a way for you to utilize all that extra mana you generate. And Urza Lord High Artificer is very similar in that regard. Generates so much extra mana by turning all your Astrolabes and Mishra's Baubles and things into Mox Sapphires, effectively. But on top of that, it gives you something to do with all that mana. If Urza did not have that Temporal Aperture effect built into it, I cannot imagine it would be nearly as dominant as it is, because we see that thing get spun so often.
Right. Yeah, it's very good, even shy of that text, but it really pushes it over the top. That's what enables... We see players playing this Urza deck and winning games on mulliganing pretty low because they just make it up later.
Yeah, Emery, Lurker of the Lock, Urza Lord Artificer, and a lot of these cards just not only can generate 2-for-1s, but sometimes 3-4 infinity for ones if your opponent never kills them, Looks like we're lining up an attack. Barich here, thinking about attacking. I guess it's not good enough just because the construct is quite large now. A really tough spot for Barich. Both players playing a bit deliberately because everything is just getting really complex and complicated.
Yeah, it's one of those spots. We had a brief conversation earlier in the broadcast about the life total not really being the score, not telling the full story. It looks like Barich is so close with Baumeister at 4, but Baumeister has pretty much stopped the bleeding entirely at this point.
Yeah, and if he's able to find an Oko, he can start padding his life total with those food tokens. And that might seal it, but that Yawgmoth deck does have the ability to just deal a lot of burst damage out of nowhere. You know, even here, Barich might have Court of Calling, and Baumeister needs to be aware of that. Hold up that Cryptic Command basically at all times to keep something like Blood Artist or Jarl's Messenger from entering the battlefield, because that itself could just combo kill him if he can't gain any life. Now with Gilded Goose, though, things are changing quite a bit. Now he has the ability to sack the food token and gain some life, just as long as he doesn't tap it for mana.
You do have to be careful. Yeah, it does have to tap to sacrifice. But yeah, Barich had no additional action, no attacks. Baumeister just going to work. Gilded Goose, some spins. Finds an Emery, may as well cast it.
Yeah, it gets it untapped as a potential blocker if he wants it to. Gets to mill 4 more cards so he can dig for Engineered Explosives if he doesn't already have it. I think he had an Explosives way earlier, though. So
yeah, Explosives took down his Astrolabes and some Young Wolves.
Mm-hmm. This has been one heck of a long game, simply because earlier those 3 Astrolabes were in the battlefield and then they all died, and now Emery has brought all of them back.
Yeah.
This is the same game where Barich drew roughly 6 cards in response to a an Elkify on the original Yawgmoth. I don't even remember anymore at this point.
It really feels bad when draw 6 doesn't get you there.
That's true. But when you're playing against a deck whose every card says draw 1 plus, I don't know. It's not that big. You know, it's not that disappointing. You understand exactly what the games are about when you go into this kind of a matchup. At least I know Barich does.
I'd still be unhappy about it.
It is unfortunate. You would obviously rather win than lose.
Tell me more.
Look.
All right, Baumeister passing with that Cryptic Command up again. Stranglegeist for Barich. That's a second Undying creature. Perhaps at the point where Barich can actually force some action from Baumeister.
Yeah, so the second Undying creature allows for some mini combos.
Though it kind of takes another body because the Young Wolf has 2 counters, which is a little bit funny because you have to get both of those gone.
Yeah. 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 All right, let's see what Baumeister does here, because he could counter draw. He could also just let it happen, kind of see what Barich is up to, because it's not quite the infinite bounce yet that it can be, because there are 2 counters on that Young Wolf.
And, you know, Baumeister knows this is not where the action stops. Barich gave a long think last turn, and he's got to think, what's my spot? Where can the Cryptic Command get me through to next turn?
Well, I think Barich is about to win. I think Barich has Court of Calling from her body language the last couple turns. I think she's just been waiting for this Cryptic Command to get cast. I think she's going to go get Jarl's Messenger, and she's going to win the game. Now, with that said, she might just like let this happen. Corey goes like bounce draw, or sorry, counter draw. But Corey can mitigate that by maybe going counter bounce? No. No. Interesting. I think Aaron offering another potential advice of, please bounce my Young Wolf so I combo kill you.
Right, so bounce Yawgmoth, that's one mode. Counterspell Stranglegeist is the other. That works. And what is the follow-up? You know, Barich has known about that Cryptic Command for a long time. Here's some tapping of fetch lands with Urborg.
I was going to say, but Ryan, how can Aaron do that?
I know what fetch lands do, and that's not what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I am very smart.
To be fair, that's a new picture on Urborg. Who knows? I don't know. All right, Ultra Evolution resolve. Sacking that Young Wolf. Barich can go get a 3-drop. You gotta imagine it's Jarl's Messenger.
Messenger it is.
Now, Corey does have the option to fetch a land here and tap the Matthias Hunt token.
Evolution on Messenger. Ooh, Baumeister was at 4.
He's dead. Well, okay, first of all, he's going to 2. That's
now
happened.
He's at 2.
And now Ultra Evolution.
And now that
with
Messenger's
Undying.
Undying.
And is gonna go get a Cavalier of Night.
It could just get another Messenger, too. There's a lot of ways for it to present lethal.
Oh, is Ultra Evolution also
it's
X or less?
+2 or less.
Okay, if that's the case, then, well, GG.
What are you going to do?
Roll.
X or less, where X is 2 plus the mana cost, but X or less, that's the important part here. Messenger undies. And Baumeister picks him up. Aaron Barich able to navigate through that cryptic command, and Baumeister's wondering, what could I have done?
I don't know. I mean,
I had that cryptic command. What's happening?
He had the cryptic command for so long, too. The problem is that once Yawgmoth is on the battlefield, a counterspell is not very good, because any 2 undying creatures or 2 tutor effects or whatever, is going to cobble together roughly 1,000,000 damage. And that game was outrageously complicated. Barich found the line with the double Eldritch Evolution after the Yawgmoth, after the Cryptic Command was burned to bounce the Yawgmoth, and a pair of Jarl's Messengers triggers later, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, really impressive navigation by Barich there as we go to sideboards. The options for Barich. Got 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Veil of Summer, 2 Damping Sphere, Abrupt Decay, Assassin's Trophy, Thrashing Brontodon, Plague Engineer, Obstinate Baloth, Phyrexian Revoker, Reclamation Sage, Yixlid Jailer, and Kitchen Finks.
It's all nonsense. I have no idea. My brain is mush. Okay, let's actually talk about the sideboard a bit, because there are quite a few ways for Barich to sideboard here. With all these one-ofs, thanks to those tutor effects in her main deck, she has access to effectively, 8+ copies of every single one of these one-of cards. So Phyrexian Revoker here could be good against Oko Thief of Crowns, locking down that. Reclamation Sage can blow up the construct, and that's potentially useful. But every card that she brings in is going to slowly dilute her combo. So she needs to figure out which ones are the most important to bring in. I would say Phyrexian Revoker probably coming in. Veil of Summer seems quite good against all the counterspells. Though, notably, the Teamer version doesn't play Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay, or Assassin's Trophy, so that half of Veil of Summer is a little bit worse. It's only an anti-counterspell, but the counterspells are big enough part where I think Veil of Summer can play a good role. And then maybe like Thrashing Brontodon. I don't know. The disenchant effects seem okay, not great.
So then Baumeister has 3 Anger of the Gods, 3 Blood Moon, 2 Ashiok Dreamrender, 2 Mystical Dispute, 2 Veil of Summer, then Ceremonious Rejection, Disdainful Stroke, and Experimental Frenzy as one-ofs.
So I think if you're Baumeister, you got to settle in for longer games after sideboard. I know game 1 was 30 minutes long, but you got to settle in for longer games after sideboard. At the very least, you need to be prepared to win a longer game, and I think that starts with the card Anger of the Gods. I think that is a great way to sweep up the basically front half of Aaron Barich's deck, the half of the deck that doesn't involve the Yawgmoth combo. Outside of that, I mean, Ashiok doesn't seem that bad simply because of there's so many search effects from Barich. However, Barich's deck is quite good at attacking Planeswalkers thanks to Strangleroot Geist and a number of just, ragtag group of creatures. So Ashiok is not as much of a game ender as it could be against something like a Primeval Titan deck, but it's still maybe good enough. And I think that those 2 cards are going to be coming in for Baumeister, and we'll see what he sides out.
So they're going to shuffle up for that. But right now, before we get underway for game number 2, we'd like to tell you a little bit more about the wonderful products from our amazing sponsor, Ultimate Guard. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for live coverage of the Modern Open here at SCG Knoxville. We are in the top 4. Match is already underway. Aaron Barich with a pretty impressive win game 1 over Corey Baumeister here with this Golgari Yawgmoth deck that kind of exploded onto the scene this weekend.
Yeah, I know Tom Ross has been a huge proponent of the deck for a couple months now, and Barich pretty regularly picks up the same style of decks as the boss, since they're both from a similar neck of the woods, longtime friends. And no surprise seeing Barich pick it up and, again, having success. Barich has been very successful here on the SCG Tour.
Call the deck Louisiana Yawgmoth.
Oh, because of swamp?
No.
Because they're from the swamp. Although Barich is actually from Mississippi.
Oh.
Yeah.
When you couldn't do that.
No.
Well, you could.
Yeah, Mississippi's a swamp. Or it's got swamp land.
Swamp Moth.
That one doesn't really track.
No, that's not good. I'm just spitballing here. No criticism in brainstorming. Baumeister pretty quickly sending back that number 7.
We could call it something bargain. Like Yawgmoth's Bargain's like a pretty iconic card. Pay a bunch of life, draw a bunch of cards. This deck does something very similar. Obviously, not using the card Yawgmoth's Bargain, but Golgari Yawgmoth is kind of a bad one.
How do you feel about Yawgmoth?
You know, it's starting to grow on me. Looks like we have a small update, not quite the final match result from our back matchup. Drake Sasser and the Gooch, Christopher Gooch, are in game number 3. That Green Devotion deck maybe going to be seeing it in the finals to see if we can take down Drake Sasser in game number 3.
Either way, that side of the bracket, not going to be Urza. And right now, Barich up a game over Corey Baumeister, our last Urza player in the tournament.
Yep. Baumeister is going to go ahead and bobble himself. This is a great way for these decks to kind of play a little bit of a filter game early. Thanks to having access to these fetch lands, you can take a peek. If the top card's bad, well, you shuffle it away. If it's good, well, don't shuffle or play a different land. Maybe one of those fetch lands. Yeah. Or no, one of those shock lands instead.
Looks like he did not like it. Pluto Delta is going to shuffle away what he saw at 19. Tapped a breeding pool, looks like.
Yeah, usually when this happens, this is just Corey being a bit flooded and looking for non-lands. Top card was probably a land. Or the complete opposite. Generally, it's either mana glut or mana dearth.
It's got the wrong amount of mana.
Is that the right word?
Dearth would be a shortage.
Yeah, what's glut?
Yeah. Glut would be a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was right.
You got it.
Okay.
I didn't correct you.
No. But look, sometimes I just say words that sound right.
So something you got adjusted doing when you're going to be on the air all the time.
Be confident.
You say words, right? And you don't even listen to yourself, right? It's just out there, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So, and people already heard you. So if it's wrong, they don't care if you correct yourself, all right? These people are wild animals, and they will never forgive you.
Is that why you didn't correct yourself when you said signal instead of singles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I did that exact thing.
Yeah. So me doing it now, though, that's bad.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just making sure that I got the rules down. Astrolabe for Baumeister. Birds of Paradise from Barich. We'll go into her turn 2. She's got a Thoughtseize. That's a hot one.
Casting it off the bird. Going to take a look at Urza, 2 Cryptic Commands, Metallic Rebuke, and a Scalding Tarn.
Yeah, if you're Baumeister, you would have loved to have cast that Outcomes Astrolabe last turn, right? Because that would have allowed you to hold up Metallic Rebuke this turn, but I had to guess he just didn't have it. Probably found it off the draw step or the bauble.
A lot of 4s here.
Yeah, could take the Rebuke because it's the only one that can be cast next turn, as far as I can think off the top of my head. No one draw lets him cast any of the 4s, I don't think.
Yeah, kind of a ways off one artifact off of Mox Opaling.
Yeah, I think hoping the Baumeister just misses for the rest of the game is not the best, but just taking the interaction point for next turn might be enough to give Aaron Barich the swing in her favor that she needs to take the game.
Largely depends what next turn looks like, right?
Right, and even the rest of this turn, because she still has the ability to play another land, maybe play another 2-mana spell or a couple 1-mana spells.
So Rebuke is the take. Barich to 18 off the Thoughtseize.
Beat down.
Fetching up a land to get in there with Stranglework Geist. Looks like a fetch and a shock. Overgrown Tomb, Barich to 15, and Baumeister to 16 off the attack.
My best Pro Tour result was in some part due to Strangaroo Geist, so I have quite the affinity for that card. It was in my... I'm a mono green connoisseur.
Sure.
Dungrove Elder, you know, Nissa Ravane with a Brazi Monument.
I lost so much to Dungrove Elder.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever beat that
welcome.
card.
Gerald's Messenger, the follow-up. Strangaroo Geist getting there for 2 more, and now Baumeister does have access to 4 mana. I have to imagine he's going to start slamming Urza first instead of just holding up Cryptic Command because he's so far behind on the battlefield. But if he taps out here for that Urza, there's a chance Barich just untaps, plays 4th land, casts Yawgmoth, ends the game.
And Baumeister's had that done to him about 3 times now, so he's probably going to be a little cautious about it.
Well, I mean, if all you do is hold up Cryptic Command, you're just going to lose, right? Like, you're just going to lose to the pressure that's on the table. Cryptic Command to just spin, counter, or to like tap, draw, not good, right? It's not good. And also, your 4th mana source is kind of a one-shot, thanks to the Gilded Goose. So
yeah. Baumeister to 11 off of the hit from the Geist and the Gerald's Messenger.
Oh, no, are you kidding me? Who won our backup matchup,
The
Ryan?
Gooch.
You want to announce it?
The Gooch.
The Gooch!
2-1 win.
The Gooch is loose!
Sasser. Sasser was kind of ahead of the tournament the whole time, but no more. Felled by the Gooch. The Gooch is in the finals.
When I die, put my Gooch up in the grave. That didn't work. I'm gonna shut up.
You did your best, man.
I
don't know if that's true, actually.
Look, a thought pops in my head and I spurt it out. As long as it doesn't have too much profanity, I'm usually okay with it. I run at like a 70% clip of things that make sense / are funny. It's probably like 20% funny, 50% makes sense, 30% nonsense.
It's a pretty good clip.
I think so. When all you do is talk for a living, you gotta run okay, right?
Yeah. I mean,
otherwise, you don't get paid.
Yeah. You stop talking for a living.
Yeah.
So Baumeister's going with the Urza. Makes the construct. Astrolabes the construct mana into another Goose. Now we see Barich untapping and firing off Chord of Calling. It's for Phyrexian Revoker. Spicy.
So, notably, Phyrexian Revoker can shut off mana abilities. It's one of those needle effects that can shut off the mana abilities, unlike Pithing Needle. So naming Urza Lord High Artificer shuts down a lot of the mana generation the Baumeister can have. Gilded Goose is still technically online, so one of those cryptic commands is active at the moment. But all that powerful mana generation from Urza is currently inaccessible.
Well, Urza, like you said, is the name. Baumeister casts an Astrolabe. Has a food hanging out. So actually needs another mana source to turn those cryptic commands back on.
Yeah, does now. Decided to play the Astrolabe instead of holding up Cryptic or making a food token. The play is reasonable. Trying to draw the land.
Mishra's Bobble. Gonna take a look at the top card of Barich's library.
Barich
passes, draws for Bobble.
Barich here just chomping at the bit to untap. Shields are down. Do we have the 4th land? Here it is. Chord of Calling. For X equals 4. At the ready. It's lethal.
Now Barich knows about 2 cryptic commands.
Yeah.
So she's thinking, Corey, why'd you tap your cryptic command mana?
Interesting. Well, he only has 3 cards in hand, and the 3rd card was Astrolabe, which became Bobble, which cycled into the other card. So clearly, Corey was trying to advance the board a little bit, gambled a little bit on finding a land, hoping that Barich would miss on the 4th mana source. Instead, good chance he dies this turn. We'll have to wait and see if Barich pulls the trigger. Maybe she wants to wait.
Like you said, though, kind of weighing against a random card. Here's Chord of Calling for 4. What do you got? Looks like a land is the 3rd card, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Misty Rainforest.
There's a land drawn for the Bobble, not for the turn, so was unable to deploy it. And now I think that's all she wrote. This mystery is solved. The murder she wrote. Mystery. See, there's the Nonsense. That was the nonsense.
Corey's thinking, what can I do? Why am I dying with Cryptic Command again?
Well, he was light on mana, and I think that he actually got a little lucky here with drawing Gilded Goose to be able to cast the 4-drops in the first place. And ultimately, though, made a small judgment call last turn, got immediately punished. And that's the end of the tournament for Corey Baumeister. Assuming Barich goes for it.
Corey says, sure. There's Yawgmoth. In a second here, I think you're going to hear from Aaron Barich. I would like to demonstrate a loop.
Yeah.
Sacrifice Geralf's Messenger. Target one of your things.
Yeah. Now the first activation here with Geralf's Messenger going to shrink Gilded Goose, and Geralf's Messenger comes back. Corey may be posturing here. So I have to go ahead and gain 3 life up to 14. Now Barich is at the same life total as Baumeister. And the way that this little interaction works, it's actually not set in stone because Baumeister is at the same life total as Barich when they start. But when the Geralf's Messenger resolves, he's actually at less. And now this loop happens, and every time it happens, they both lose 2 life, but Barich is slightly ahead. Therefore, Barich is the victor.
And Barich explains that. Corey says, oh, and extends the hand. Aaron
Oh, yeah.
Barich, 2-0 winner over Corey Baumeister.